Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and welcome back to some more Let's Play Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. Last time we made our way through the D line and we've opened up our way to the final line in the game here, the H line. So we're going to be starting that in today's video, but before we do, I want to show off our final changeover in the Octarian design here. So now I'm playing as the Octo girl that was used for all the promotional material here. This design specifically you've always seen in trailers and even with the Octo Girl amiibo that you can buy to use in Splatoon 2. So to finish up our journey through the Deep Sea Metro, I figured it's probably best just to use the design that Nintendo themselves used all the time to advertise Octo expansion. But without any further ado, let's jump into the H line here, starting off with Feel the Burn in the Ballercise station. So here we have a choice of only one special to use, the Baller. So let's go ahead and select the Baller. Please use the Baller's invincibility to make your way to the goal. Reaching a checkpoint will add some time back on the clock. If you need to make the Baller explode, you can do so by pressing ZR. Take care out there. Let's go ahead and begin the test. So starting off, let's jump through all these squid rings and then hold down the button to explode. The countdown is on. Ignore the enemies and keep moving. Cuttlefish makes a good point. Don't stop for anything in this test because you don't have that much time before you fail. Don't forget you can jump on the Baller with the B button. The only way we're gonna make these jumps, so let's do it. Whoa, that's the ticket. Go ahead and unroll this ink furler by just tapping it with the Baller. It's easier to just tap this thing by running forward instead of exploding with the Baller. Every time you explode with the Baller, you do slow down and have to re-engage the said special. So you waste a lot of time by using the explosion. Only use the explosion attack when viable. Most of the time in this test, you can just go ahead and roll around and use the force of the Baller itself by tapping into enemies or other objects to at least get a move on. But we're near the end as we already passed through that final checkpoint. Up ahead, we got a Rollium here. We want to go ahead and just bounce this backwards for the said enemy launching it out in question. Just going to wait for you to launch, tap into it, and there you go. Glorious! The goal is up here. Get to the goal any way you can. I'm just going to go ahead, pop my Baller right next to the goal, and that's that. Don't even need to bother with the enemies. We only killed a handful of enemies at the most in this test. But as you can see near the end, we didn't have that much time left, so stopping for anything would have been a big problem. But we made it through the test, safe and sound. So that's Ballercise Station. Only the one ability, so no need to go back. And with that, let's take a look at the mem cake we got from it. It's the Slow Your Roll Mole. When going through here, play it cool. Or get a clue and don't go through. I won't bend on this. Them's the rules. Give you that finger saying, yeah, that's right. No. Don't break the rules. Slow your roll on that one. Nice looking mem cake design. It kind of reminds me a little bit though of Resetti from Animal Crossing. I don't know, just something about the design about it itself. Looks very similar. And that would make sense as developers that are on the Splatoon team also work on the Animal Crossing games. So there is a little bit of a bleed over between some of the staff of Animal Crossing and Splatoon. So it could make sense for some kind of a reference with Animal Crossing being in Splatoon, and then vice versa. Nice looking mem cake design here. Let's go ahead and make our way into our next test here. Easy breezy in the Sweet Ride Station. So here we have a choice of 3 different weapons, the Splatter Shot and Splat Bomb, Blaster and Auto Bomb, or the Splatbrella and Auto Bomb. Let's go ahead and start off with the recommended here, Splatter Shot and Splat Bomb. Please ride the tower to the enemy goal. The tower will start moving once you're on board. Be aware that the tower will pause for a bit when it reaches each checkpoint. Take care out there. Let's go ahead and begin the test. Ah, nuts. Octolings! Okay, all you gotta do is ride that tower all the way to the enemy goal. Sounds simple enough, but we got 6 checkpoints we need to pass through. To the tower, 8. Go ahead and get on top and ride on. All throughout this test, as we have done a other test very, very long ago in this series, riding the tower to the enemy goal, we need to pass through 6 checkpoints just to get to the enemy's goal line. By doing so, we're going to have a lot of Octolings jumping in, trying to take us down. So anytime an Octoling is jumping, I recommend throwing a bomb around where they jump in, as if you time it just right, you can destroy the Octolings in question as soon as they super jump into your location. Man, was our last concert the best? It totally was. So much fun. This was an area here in Splatoon 2 that was always kind of used as a concert area for Pearl and Marina, in terms of the story at least. And this is one of the first maps that were playable here in Splatoon 2. So this is a very, very iconic stage in the game. And then obviously for story reasons, this is where Inklings and Octarians would go to listen to any concerts from our hosts, Pearl and Marina. So very significant stage on that front. Now we pass through checkpoint 5, so we're getting near the end. We gotta keep calm, keep on moving, as Marina here is saying. We got an Octoling trying to shoot us around the corner. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump over to the said platform. And now with that, let's get back on the tower before it moves back in place. And now we pass checkpoint 6. But at this point, we got an Octarian jumping in with a splashdown, so be careful of her. But with that, that's it. Test passed. If you hide behind the tower's stick in the middle, the splashdown will not affect you at all. As long as you're on the exact opposite side of where the splashdown is, you'll be fine. Otherwise, yeah, that could easily kill you if you're not careful. But now that we completed that station with the first weapon, let's go back and complete it with the other 2 weapon types. So back in Sweet Ride Station, let's go ahead and select our next weapon here, the Blaster and Auto Bomb. So at this point, our weapons we're going to be using here in the tower control mission in question, they're going to become a lot harder to use, as we can tell by that set point payout. The Blaster here is a pretty slow firing weapon, but it does pack a punch if we can get a direct shot on an enemy. At this point, both our weapons are going to be using auto bombs, so these bombs will be chasing after the Octolings that are at least in the vicinity where we throw the said bomb. If an enemy's not in the area where the auto bomb is, it will just explode immediately, or at least around the time it lands. So you can use this auto bomb to at least check out if there's any enemies hiding in ink, as if you throw an auto bomb in an area where you don't think that there's anything and the auto bomb starts moving, then that does tell you there's an enemy just hiding in the ink. So here I'm going to throw an auto bomb. It's going to chase after this Octarian, which will bait her into a location I can just easily take her out with the blaster and just immediately 2-shot her to victory. Blasters in Splatoon 2 are kind of a weird weapon class when it comes to just how they work in general, as they didn't really get retooled from Splatoon 1 to 2, but the bigger problem was more or less the specials specifically in Splatoon 2. It made this class a lot harder to use. So we don't notice a lot of those problems here. We can see a lot of the advantages blasters have in the single player, mainly because in this specific mission, we're not running in the ink armor. Ink armor is a thing that basically made blasters next to useless in a lot of situations in Splatoon 2 online. Normally, if you get a direct shot with a blaster, it will one-shot an enemy, but with ink armor, that doesn't happen. So yeah, it's so nice not to have ink armor here. It really is. But there you go. Test has passed. We got it done with the blaster. Let's go ahead and make our way back into the station one more time to complete this with the Splatbrella. Back here in Sweet Ride Station, once again, let's go ahead and complete this with the final weapon here, the Splatbrella. So this is considered the hardest weapon for the station, as we can tell from the payout, but I really don't think it's that much worse than using a blaster. And in fact, I think the blaster is kind of a harder weapon to use in this test in comparison. And it's mainly just because of one specific thing. While this weapon may take longer to kill an enemy, you have a shield. This shield will help protect you in a lot of circumstances here when enemies are trying to attack you in the tower. So, in some ways, I find this weapon to be easier to use than the blaster just because of that shield alone. Now sure, this may be a two-shot if you get direct hits with it, so it doesn't kill as fast as a blaster, and it has about the same range, maybe worse range by comparison. But for the most part, really, in this mission, I don't notice too much of a difficulty shift between the two, and in some ways, I just find this weapon easier than the blaster. Again, just because of some of those shortcomings that blasters can have by comparison. The slower shot radius, how much ink consumption they have, and the fact that this weapon has a shield when you just hold out your umbrella itself, it makes this a lot better in some circumstances. Now the only thing you really have to be mindful of for that reason is that you can easily be pushed off of the tower here while using the said umbrella, mainly just because it can just easily push you around when you do get pushed by an enemy, not specifically shot by them. So keep that in mind as well. The hitbox of the said umbrella could also be a detriment in some cases. Speaking of a detriment, that one little push-off alone pretty much reset this tower's position all the way to the beginning. It's also not helping. I don't have that much ink here. Normally, when I run a weapon that's as ink-hungry as things like a blaster or maybe even a umbrella, I might have some ink-related perks on my gear, say like main saver so I can shoot a little bit longer, or ink recovery up so I can recover ink faster. But in the single-player campaigns, you don't have any access at all to any specific perks from gears. And it's really just because you can't change your clothes at all in single player gear. Oh, Stingray, how a classic thing everyone hates in this said mode. That right there is pretty much get off the tower button. It's so annoying. At least we have this super jump point we could just go right inside of and just jump straight back to the tower. It really helps in a mission like this, because that's what I would do in actual single player if they had a super jump point. But at this point, we just have to wait things out, and this is just kind of a problem. But last time we did one of these tower control missions, we did just kind of speed through it, because essentially this is the exact same thing every single time, just like how it was in our Rainmaker missions. But this is the last of the multiplayer specific type of missions here that we'll be playing in Splatoon 2's Octo expansion. From this point forward, we'll just have specific levels that are exclusive to the said Octo expansion. No more multiplayer themed things in the said DLC, sadly. But I did want to take this time to kind of talk about just the significance of something like this in Octo expansion, just because playing through both Rainmaker and Tower Control specific modes here in the DLC with bots, this is a pretty big deal because it's a really good way in practicing some strategies for Tower Control and Rainmakers specifically. Unfortunately, you don't have teammates to really synergize with here, so there's some strategies you can't fully explore, and then same with specials. But in some ways, this is better than playing these said maps on recon mode when they're available, simply just because you can at least practice fighting against actual enemies here. It's a really nice thing. This is something Splatoon players have wanted for years in the series, being able to play against bots, because it's a good way of practicing stuff too. But unfortunately, that hasn't even become a thing. Even with Splatoon 3 now being available, there are still no ways in Splatoon 3 to play a game against bots. So you have to play with actual humans, either be in random lobbies or in a private lobby, if you want to play any game mode. You cannot play with an AI. So having this available in the single player is a very big deal for practice sake as well. And I really do wish at some point we can get a mode in the Splatoon series that lets you play against bots, just because of how helpful this can be for practice sake. Recon can only get you so far in practice sake. But there you go, we passed the test. We had kind of a harder time there with the umbrella after I said it's easier to use than the blaster in this kind of mission, so that's a nice foot and mouth moment. But it wasn't because of the weapon this time, though. My difficulty came just because of really bad circumstances, and half of it, I swear, is because of Stingray. Thank goodness that's gone in Splatoon 3, because, man, that's like one of my least favorite specials to run into in any mode in Splatoon 2. It's just a really annoying special to deal with. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the mem cake we just got from that set station. It's the I Ship It logo. I pack my feelings in a box. A parcel stuffed with hope and love. And trimmed with stamps unorthodoxed. I can see this actually being a stamp on a parcel. It's a nice little design, and, you know, it works simple enough that this could be used as the Splatoon Worlds version of a postal stamp. I can see it. Nice little design, very happy looking squid. So our Octo friend here is probably a little mad. She's like, why can't we have one of these in an Octo form? Come on. Where's the Octo love? Show us some more Octo love. Nice mem cake outside of that little discrimination, though. But with that, we made our way through a good chunk of the H-line, as we only have a handful more levels to go before we reach our final of the 4 things. So with that said, we're going to end the episode on that note. Next time on Let's Play Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion, we'll continue making our way down the H-line here in the Deep Sea Metro. I'll see you guys next time.